what does EFT stand for?
Emotional freedom techniques. And what it is known now as is tapping, or I call it emotional freedom techniques tapping or EFT tapping. The reason is
Okay.
there are versions of it without the tapping, and it's to differentiate the version that people know and love.
Ah,
So the tapping, which is what the scientific research is based on,
uh-huh.
actually this nerve connection, the electricity doesn't run so well. It kind of short circuits. So you have this part of the brain with the data in it, and it can't talk to the amygdala. That's why people feel better. As far as I understand, that's where the scientific research is pointing to. In terms of what EFT is, it's using acupressure on different points. We don't actually have to use all these points, but we can if we want to, and we can use more points if we want to as well. Okay,
Wonderful. Okay.
yeah. And just by stimulating these points, by tapping on them like a gentle massage. I like this one on the top of the head because it feels like somebody's giving you a nice head massage. And
Awesome.
that's how I do it.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
So
yeah.
could you share with us, because we are really trying to focus on techniques for overcoming addiction and addictive behaviors. It's a technique that helps, right, in the process of recovery
It
versus
facilitates your recovery.
it's obviously not going to fix it overnight and make it so that you don't crave cigarettes, but it's a technique that you could use in the moment. Is that correct?
That's the popular belief.
Okay.
And it's really interesting. Very good that you asked this question because I have many clients that come to me and they say, I've tried it, and sometimes I miss tapping when I have a craving. Or a friend comes around and says, oh, would you like to have some, whatever it is? Or what have you just become the Virgin Mary now, kind of thing? And you don't want to join us or whatever. And so, how do I tap there? You don't tap for that. You tap before that. You tap for the underlying reasons. And that's why it's best to have a practitioner lead you through it who is an addiction specialist or attend a course. And so we use EFT for the underlying reasons, preferably, but it wasn't available when I had to quit smoking. A lot of people learned EFT.
Okay.
Yeah,
What was your
yeah.
go-to technique for coping with cravings?
Cravings is very good because I studied as a hypnotherapist. I didn't want to do hypnotherapy. I wasn't interested in hypnotherapy, but somebody I knew was running a hypnotherapy course, and he said, this will go with everything else that you're doing. So I was doing Reiki, and in order to do Reiki, I had to do massage as well. And then he said, that will go along with everything. So I studied it. And I did, hypnotherapy did help me to some extent, but I took other drugs in order not to need the cigarettes.
Okay.
Yeah. And with EFT, I didn't need the other drugs. The
Perfect.
last drug to go was medicating with food. Yeah.
Right, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
we can definitely swing from one addiction to another, can't we?
Or have them all at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so when it comes to tapping as a coping technique, you're recommending that we do that as like a preparation, correct? So if you know that you're going to go into a situation that could potentially be triggering, then this would be something that you would want to do before going into that situation.
If you're a self-helper, instead of thinking, I'm going tomorrow to this event, by then it's probably too late. You know, one should work with something in the past. So start with something in the past. A party I went to, let's say last year. Very important is when you started using again. That's a really important point because something must have happened then to push you over the edge.
Mm.
Remember, it's a coping mechanism. So something must have made us want to cope.
Hmm.
We couldn't cope. So it's going back to that event, putting ourselves in that situation and thinking, okay, I'm in that situation. And if I were to relive this moment on a scale from 10 to 0, where 10 is I'm definitely going to use and 0 is not for now, thank you. How much am I likely to use? And just rate it. With trauma, with really deep trauma, I don't recommend that somebody closes their eyes and really tries to relive it. But if the time that somebody started using again is not too traumatic, it usually isn't, it's usually a party or friends or something, then I ask people to close their eyes and remember that time and then rate their desire, craving, need, whatever they want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then let that go. The party being tomorrow, just take it on the chin and just go along with it. You can tap for it, but just forgive yourself if it doesn't do what you want it to do. You really should actually go through those times. Don't skip. You spent all that time dedicated to this drug. I know what it's like to plan your life around drugs, getting the drug, not being caught, finding the money, which you always do somehow. And all of this thing about something that you shouldn't be doing or shouldn't be having, something that's bad for you, basically. It was good for you at one point. It saved you from something. It saved you from a feeling or it saved you from a situation. But now it's not helpful to you anymore. And we could say thank you to this friend for having been with us and just work on it. Ideally, if somebody's going to a party tomorrow, they should abstain from the party. Just take time out to heal,
Good
if that
advice.
makes any sense. Yeah.
Good advice.